Picture this. You're trying to clear up an old traffic ticket, or maybe you just want to look up a local court case, and bam, you're suddenly hit with a massive paywall demanding your credit card info. Well, it happens, literally every single day, but it absolutely shouldn't. Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're completely bypassing those paywalls. By the end of this, you are going to be confidently navigating the Ingham County court databases like a total legal insider. And the best part? We're doing it completely for free.
Yep, you heard that right. The true cost of accessing official public court records in Ingham County should be exactly $0, period. You know, despite what those predatory third-party websites desperately want you to believe with all their aggressive subscription prompts, understanding how this system actually works empowers you to access crucial public info without spending a single dime.
All right, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the Ingham Court landscape, spotting the fake portals, executing a free search, navigating the district courts, decoding results and troubleshooting, and finally, ethics, limits, and conclusion.
Okay, starting right off with Section 1, the Ingham Court landscape. So to find a record, you first really have to know where it lives, both geographically and jurisdictionally. Because, spoiler alert, you can't just search one magical database and find everything. Ingham County essentially operates like a series of distinct administrative islands, and each one has its very own record-keeping system. For instance, if you're looking for major civil disputes or felony criminal cases, those live at the 30th Circuit Court over in Lansing. Probate matters, things like wills and guardianships, those also happen in Lansing at the probate court. But for your day-to-day matters, think traffic tickets, misdemeanors, or maybe a landlord-tenant dispute, you have to look at the 3 district courts. The 54A district covers Lansing proper, operating right out of City Hall. The 54B district covers East Lansing, which means they handle a ton of Michigan State University area cases. And finally, the 55th district, based in the county seat of Mason, covers the entire rural and suburban outskirts of the county. So long story short, knowing where an incident happened dictates exactly where you need to start looking.
Moving right along to Section 2, spotting the fake portals.
Okay, before we even type a single search query, we have to learn how to dodge the traps set by private data aggregators. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the biggest trap for beginners. Look really closely at the domain names. The website inghamcountycourt.org, with courts singular, is actually a private, non-governmental aggregator. It runs on a commercial database called PeopleConnect. It forces you to agree to these long commercial terms of service, and it almost always leads right to a fee request. On the flip side, inghamcountycourts.org with an S at the end, or courts.ingham.org are the official, actual government-sanctioned gateways. They provide authentic, real-time case dockets completely free of charge. Just one little letter makes a huge difference.
So engrave this golden rule in your mind. Never, ever pay for standard docket lookups. Always bypass those commercial domains entirely to avoid getting spammed with solicitations. You want to make sure you're connecting directly to the verified county hosts.
All right, now for the fun part. Section 3, executing a free search. Now that we know where we're going and exactly what traps to avoid, let's walk through how to actually execute a search using the central Ingham County Court Search Portal. Setting yourself up for success is super easy if you follow this exact path. First, you're going to navigate to courts.ingham.org/court record search. Second, the system will ask you to select a specific court. Remember those islands we talked about earlier? Right, so you have to choose whether you're searching the circuit court or the probate court. Third, you input your specific case parameters. You can punch in a name, a case number, or a date of birth. But this brings us to a massive potential obstacle that you absolutely need to know how to troubleshoot.
Guys, here is an incredible insider secret. To protect people's privacy, Ingham County put a strict security requirement on their central portal. If you want to pull up a criminal or a traffic record, a name alone is simply not going to cut it. You absolutely must have the defendant's exact date of birth.
And here's the really tricky part. If you don't know the exact date of birth, or if you just forget to enter it, the portal doesn't even give you an error message. Nope. Instead, the system just quietly hides any matching criminal or traffic files, and it'll only return civil or family court entries. This trips up amateurs all the time. They run a name search, they see 0 criminal records, and they falsely assume that person has a completely clean background. So always bring the date of birth to a criminal search.
Let's move on to Section 4, navigating the district courts.
So let's shift our focus to the day-to-day stuff. Small claims, local evictions, misdemeanors. These live on entirely separate digital platforms based on their geography. Depending on where the incident actually occurred, you'll need to hit up a different site. For Lansing proper, the 54A District Court has a lookup tool right on the lansingmi.gov website, where you can easily search by name and case number. If it's an East Lansing or an MSU case, the 54B District utilizes the statewide MyCourt system. And if you're dealing with the 55th District out in Mason, their MyCourt portal lets you filter your results beautifully by case status, open, pending, closed, and by specific case types.
But listen, there are some digital blind spots you definitely need to be aware of, just so you aren't scratching your head when you hit a dead end. For example, the 54A court in Lansing strictly limits their online records to 1972 onward. Plus, if a felony was bound over, which basically means it was transferred up to a higher court for trial, you won't find it there at all. Similarly, the 55th Court Lookup tool actively excludes certain sensitive or diverted cases, like juvenile neglect files.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Decoding Results and Troubleshooting.
Okay, let's decode some of this legal jargon and figure out what to do when you hit a wall. The most crucial point to understand here is that not every single court case is a public record. Under Michigan law, certain cases are statutorily diverted and completely suppressed from public search results. This includes specific first-time drug charges that get dismissed after probation under MCL 333-7411, or cases involving young offenders that get resolved under the Holmes Youthful Trainee Act, commonly known as HYTA. Basically, if someone successfully completes these rehabilitative programs, the system legally hides the record to give them a real second chance.
Now, another really common troubleshooting issue is looking for historical records. If you're a genealogist or you're researching local history, these modern portals we just talked about, totally useless to you. The databases just don't go back far enough. Instead, you're going to want to check out free historical archives like the Family Search Platform or the MyGen Web Project. Those amazing sites have digitized Ingham County chancery calendars and criminal indexes dating all the way back to 1838. Let me give you a few rapid-fire pro tips for when you do find your modern records. First, pay close attention to the case status. Words like disposed or adjudicated generally mean the judge has made a final ruling. Second, and this is super cool if you're actually a party to a case in the 54B court or other participating MeCourt districts, you can sign up for text message reminders. It's a brilliant system that pings you 2 days before a hearing so you don't accidentally end up with a bench warrant just for missing a date. Finally, if you need an official, physical, stamped copy for a background check or an employer, you can't just print the webpage at home. You need to grab a certified copy from County Clerk Barb Byram at the Mason Courthouse. It'll run you $10 plus $1.50 per page, so make sure you bring exactly the right amount of spare change for the government.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 6, Ethics, Limits, and Conclusion.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today, and you now have the tools to navigate this system like a pro. But with this kind of empowering information comes some very serious responsibility. So please listen carefully to this part. While these records are public, the way you use them is highly regulated. Especially if you somehow stumble onto one of those private aggregator sites, they are explicitly not consumer reporting agencies. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you cannot use these unverified online searches to deny someone a job, reject a tenant for a lease, or establish creditworthiness. And it goes without saying, but using these platforms for stalking or identity theft carries incredibly severe criminal penalties. Always, always respect privacy and utilize official channels when you need formal background checks.
Understanding this system absolutely removes the mystery from local government, and honestly, it saves you a ton of money. So, what are you going to look up first? I highly encourage you to go practice using the official portals we discussed today, just to get comfortable with how they work. If you found this explainer helpful, please jump into the comments below and share your experiences, or any questions you might have. Your insights could seriously help someone else in the community. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this explainer with anyone who might need a little help navigating the legal system. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.